Actually, it is episode 93. We are inching ever closer to the crazy 100.
I know.
That is 99 more than we deserved, or that people should have been subjected to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there will be expletives, and good God.
We just had an anniversary, didn't we?
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years we've been doing this.
2 years and still no one knows we're out here.
Hey. Love you, Bobby. Yeah. There's going to be some shit today. Because it's like everyone in the world that could have lost their goddamn monkey mind did this week. So yeah, let's just get to it. Let's just get to it. Okay. We're going to start off with Warner Brothers.
This one pissed me off.
It did me as well. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, the upcoming World War II drama, will be PG-13.
A World War II drama is going to be PG-13. After that fucking trailer we got?
Okay.
Well, as you well know, Geoff, there was no bloodshed in World War II. Everybody just ran around with walkie-talkies.
Warner, it's like Warner Brothers is in their room, right, with the doors locked, no connection to the internet, while they throw feces at each other. What just happened over the last 12 months, Ron? Both Deadpool and Logan made a shit ton of money being rated R. So there is no argument to be made for honestly, why this had to be PG-13.
Honestly, there's no excuse for this to be PG-13. I mean, a war movie. But what surprised me also about it being Warner Brothers is I don't know what the sales were, but I know all I ever heard about when it released for a fucking long time was the rated R edition of Batman vs. Superman, which was Warner Brothers. So at the same time we had Deadpool and then the Logan announcement, we had a rated R Batman vs. Superman out there that people were losing their minds for. One way or the other. They were still losing their minds for it. And then we get a World War II movie about fucking Dunkirk. If you know what happened in Dunkirk, there is no reason for this to be less than R.
The image that is in like the image that is really haunting in the trailer that I put in our notes is that one where you just see the bodies in the sand.
Yeah.
It's like this is an incredibly heavy movie. And here's the thing, too. Do they think that that little movie called Saving Private Ryan didn't make money? Because Saving Private Ryan was a huge success, and it was an R-rated as fuck World War II movie. It's a
super famous movie. If you haven't seen it, you've at least heard of it.
Yeah, or you've at least seen that opening scene.
Yeah.
That shows you who good God is it rated R.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things where it's like Warner Brothers is finding new creative ways to be fucking dumb, and it's almost impressive. Like,
I don't get the thought process. I mean,
it's a Nolan movie. It's going to make money just because his fucking name's on it.
Yes. I mean, I thought I was going to have words for this. I find I'm more speechless than anything.
It was one of those things. I saw it on Collider and I did a double take. I was like, there's no fucking way they could be that fucking naive.
Yeah.
It's like World War II. That was one of the happier wars. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This doesn't necessarily mean the movie will suck.
Right.
Because The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, is PG-13, and you can make a case that is kind of R-rated, even though it's not, because it is incredibly heavy. It's pretty dark at times.
Yeah,
the thing is,
there's no saying that Christopher Nolan can't pull this off, because like you said, Dark Knight, he basically already has.
But the thing is, it's disingenuous, because it's a fucking World War II movie.
Basically, it sounds to me like they just went back and, just like South Park, re-edited all the guns into walkie-talkies. Everyone's just running around playing walkie-talkies with each other.
I kind of want to watch that movie where they're fighting with walkie-talkies. I want to watch. I want Christopher Nolan's super hardcore, like just fucking directing with Hans Zimmer and his goddamn horns, and they have fucking walkie-talkies running around like it's all like epic Inception music and shit. I want to watch that movie. But That's not the dumbest thing Warner Brothers did this week, Ron.
Oh my God. Why? It's not even. Not only does this not need to happen, it hasn't been long enough for it to happen.
I don't even know if we're gonna be able to continue this podcast past episode 93 because I might have an embolism by the end of this week's episode. Warner Brothers, because fucking Warner Brothers has put into production a remake. Wait for it. Of The Matrix. Which is months removed.
Ba-dum-bum.
Which is months removed from being made in the year 2000. So this movie isn't even fully like 16 or 17 years. It's not even 20 years old, and they want to fucking remake it. Why? For the love of God, would you do all this? All this accomplishes is pissing people off at your studio when they already had plenty of ammunition to use at Warner Brothers to be pissed off at them.
Yes,
because they have fucked over Christopher Nolan's World War II movie. They have fucked almost to death the Justice League tie-in movies. You see my Garrison?
I was trying not to say it because we've had so many South Park references already.
Fuck it. Speaking of just at a loss for words, I facepalmed so hard when I read this story, I probably hurt myself.
Got yourself a concussion?
Yeah.
Got yourself a concussion. God, it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You give yourself a concussion.
You should not be recording this right now.
Dude. I don't understand. The movie's not even 20 years old. For the most part, it holds up already. And like half of what it is because that was something you'd never seen before.
That's exactly what my point was.
It was brand new technology. It was the first time a lot of that technology had been used.
Here's the thing. The main reason...
If people don't know what I'm gesturing at, my monitor is over here that has our notes up.
Yeah, it's a picture of Neo stopping the bullets, which has created an entire fucking subgenre of action movies. Because here's the thing that this was gonna be my next point too that you alluded to. It's not just that they remade a classic movie that is under 20 years old. It's the reason why The Matrix is specifically egregious is because it was so revolutionary with its technology that it influenced action, period, to this day. Like,
it's like trying to remake a Bruce Lee movie.
Just think about it. Like, Zack Snyder, his whole career is kind of based off of The Matrix when you think about the way his actions filmed. Like, The Matrix was so influential specifically because of its special effects and action. And the main reason you remake movies is because of technical restrictions that were placed upon the project.
This didn't have restrictions. It opened new doors and new avenues.
It was groundbreaking.
Yes.
Fuck. Like
people that didn't know what was going on in the movie watched it multiple times in theaters because of what it was. I'm not in any way saying it's as big or strong, but it was as revolutionary as Star Wars back in the day. You can pick any movie that is remembered, Blade Runner, any of them that were revolutionary. Matrix is up there with them.
It is the most revolutionary action movie for the century so far, because this set the bar in 1999 for all of the action that would come in the year 2000 that is still ongoing to today. But let's fucking remake it, because someone on Twitter that I retweeted earlier tonight made a great fucking point that it's one of those things like I talked about earlier about how it feels like Warner Brothers is locked in a fucking room with no access to the internet or anything else that's going on in the world. What has been one of the top 3 highest grossing films, or at least top 5, of this year? It's Get Out. You want to know how much money it cost to make Get Out? $4 million. They are just printing fucking Benjamins like it's nobody's business.
What?
It was an original idea that cost fucking nothing to make. This is the exact fucking opposite.
Yes. That was one thing that I was going to say is, let me see. So when we did our top movies, even we had this same conversation. 3 of my 5 was Don't Breathe, Nice Guys, and 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That were
And
made off nothing.
made off of nothing, simple plot points. Um, maybe not what you and I would call low budget, some of them, but
Okay, name
it
off one
wasn't a
more time.
$250 million Avengers budget.
They were 10 Cloverfield Lane, Nice Guys, and Don't Breathe.
And Don't Breathe.
And those are all non-remakes.
Yes.
Like, you can have successful fucking low budget. Split is the exact same way. It was a super low budget original concept that was a license to fucking print money because they had no investment. This isn't capitalizing on a brand. This is inviting unnecessary baggage for no fucking reason. Just green light creative fucking people with their creative ideas, and then good things will happen, like with Don't Breathe and like with Get Out.
I've got a sick feeling that there's a chance this could be successful just because monetarily, financially, not critically, because people are going to hear they remade The Matrix and going to be like, what could they have possibly done with The Matrix, and go see it.
The thing, though, I think Warner Brothers has gotten so much negative I think all of the Justice League and all the Suicide Squad stuff has created such baggage for that studio that I think they would be lucky to break even, because think about how much, because they would feel the pressure to try and top the original movie.
Oh yeah.
So they would probably have like a $250 million budget behind this, because they'll only look at the box office
before marketing.
Before marketing, yeah. Because they'll feel the need to have to try and top it, and I think they would be lucky to break even. I think it would make money, but they would sink so much into it that it would be lucky to break even. Because if you think about it, Batman v fucking Superman had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and was a prequel basically to the Justice League, and they didn't hit $1 billion. That is fucking acceptable. Fucking Deadpool almost hit $1 billion if it didn't.
And again, low budget. They just went out and wrote a script. They didn't go out and try to remake the fucking Matrix.
But yeah, we could literally have an entire podcast just dedicated to the Matrix remake. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we moved on? Because the next topic kind of ties in.
We need to do a commentary on the Matrix.
We need to do commentary on the Matrix.
We need to do a commentary on the Matrix.
I own. True story.
Okay.
When I bought my new HD TV within the last couple of years, when I left Best Buy with my TV, the 2 movies that I bought to go home with were Pacific Rim and The Matrix. And that tells you all you need to fucking know, Warner Brothers. I didn't go out and buy a fucking modern movie for my fucking new big screen TV. I bought the motherfucking Matrix. God damn it, Warner Brothers. But the next one, speaking of studios that are shoved so far up their own arsehole that they don't know what the hell to do, Fox is developing a remake of The Fly, as if I guess they don't realize The Fly was already a fucking remake and it's perfect. Yeah. And why would you fucking remake The Fly? There are so many talented people specifically writing genre fiction right now, especially sci-fi. Pick anyone that has written an episode of Black Mirror other than the main writing guy. Pick anyone who has written for Stephen Moffat under the Doctor Who reboot. There's so much original sci-fi that you could have, like Get Out, and all of these Twilight Zone / Black Mirror type stuff going on, and we're gonna remake The fucking Fly.
First off, that can't be something anyone's interested in nowadays. I can't imagine anyone of the current generation even being interested in, the Jeff Goldblum remake. But here's the thing. The Fly does not need to be remade, like you said. It, some of the special effects aside, as a movie, it still kind of holds up.
And that's the thing with it too. The special effects being practical is a very important part of that film. And if they
Very
remade it,
important part.
and if they
And
remade it, it wouldn't
in its
be.
day was kind of mind blowing. The special effects
It's
in it
still
were
it's
insane.
it's not as good as John Carpenter's The Thing for the 80s, but it was pretty damn good practical effects. Like
It was pretty goddamn good. Just like create something original that's homage to The Fly. You don't need to remake The Fly. Make something that fits today and today's era that is homage to The Fly.
yeah, it's just like, oh my god, it's just so fucking frustrating because they are seeing it's not like Get Out and these movies haven't happened.
Yeah.
Like they are happening and they still continue to reject that they're happening and they still continue to just mine for fucking properties to
Honestly,
remake.
I think I think a lot of the reason that movies like Green Room and Get Out and Split
And Don't Breathe.
and Don't Breathe. Well, I think one of the reasons that those movies are doing what they're doing is shit like this. People are tired of it. If you talk to anyone about movies recently, everyone just talks about how it's nothing but remakes. And a lot of them we don't need.
And people are really gravitating towards the opposite, which is the movies you were just listing. Like I think it's a good I think you make a good point because
anyone that I would talk to at work or anyone I know that watches movies or is into movies would talk about how it's just nothing but poorly done books and remakes, and sometimes remakes of poorly done books.
And it's getting to the point where people are getting so sick of branding that sequels are becoming tiresome in a lot of ways. Like Fast and the Furious didn't need fucking 8 movies. You know, Ocean's 11 didn't need a fucking female reboot. You know, they're so much at a loss. And instead of just letting people like the director of Don't Breathe or like Jordan Peele, instead of giving these guys who are genuinely creative, they are picking the brand over the people making the fucking movies. But the reason The Fly is particularly bothersome and annoying to me is because it brings back bad memories of the Thing prequel. Are you aware of the Thing prequel from a couple of years back?
No.
They did a prequel to The Thing that was just called The Thing. First of all, that was the first stupid ass thing they did.
Was that a prequel?
It was a prequel.
It is the most recent one?
Yeah, it was the most recent one that had our girl, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. It wasn't her fault the movie sucked because the script was just god awful. They renamed it they remade it.
I didn't know it was a prequel. I wanted to check it out, but I never got around to it.
They called it The Thing, but it's actually a prequel. So you're like, well, what the fuck? Do you remember at the beginning of the movie, or like the first like 20 minutes, they go to the Swedish base? I think it's the Swedish, but they go to the other base. It is the story of what happened at that base when they got overran before Kurt Russell's group arrived.
It's the same movie.
So the Thing
because the same thing happens to Kurt Russell that happened there.
It's one of those things where it's like, if you want to raise my blood pressure, it is talking about that Thing prequel, because what is the one thing that is the most endearing about the John Carpenter's The Thing? It's the practical effects.
Right.
It's like the main fucking point in the movie. The whole movie is CGI for the special effects.
Really?
And since John Carpenter's The Thing is one of my top 5 all-time favorite movies, it is a complete mishandling of what was even liked about the original, or the about John Carpenter's version.
That's I think that was a movie you shouldn't have walked into to begin with, knowing you.
Well, it was one of those things where it's like, I mean, the fact that it was a prequel, it was kind of interesting. They had Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I really like her. But what they did with the special effects, they lost like the whole heart and soul of the movie, because it looked more like a Silent Hill movie than a fucking Thing movie, because the special effects being practical are so important to that movie specifically that it was a slap in the face to a fan of John Carpenter's movie. But,
yeah, that movie and The Fly are really good examples of when practical effects are more important. And I'm saying that as a guy that just recently told you whether it's CGI or practical doesn't really bother me all that much. But
in certain cases, it's very important.
In certain cases, you don't have a movie. Even some of the Alien movies, people complained about them having CGI, but there were still scenes that those movies had the practical effects because it just didn't work without the practical effects.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, Yeah, the Fly, remaking the Fly just means that you are not capable of coming up with a movie at all. And this is the same fucking studio that tried to keep Deadpool from happening, ironically, and then is now in the middle of fucking up Deadpool 2. Because they did, all of a sudden it made them almost $1 billion, so now they're very hands-on and driving everyone.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that unfortunately they will fuck it all up. But hey, at least Logan happened. That is the best thing that might have happened. But yeah, okay. We got the bad news out of the way for movies. Let's actually talk about some good news that happened. We have a couple of trailers that are pretty fucking fantastic. The first one we're going to talk about is Atomic Blonde. This movie totally came out of fucking nowhere. I didn't even know of its existence until I saw Patton Oswalt tweeting about it. So Patton Oswalt, I see his tweet about this movie, and he's like all caps freaking out about it. So I was like, I'm going to watch this shit. And how awesome is that trailer for Atomic Blonde, dude?
It's pretty crazy.
First of all, it's directed by David either Leitch or Leitch. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he is the co-director of John Wick, who is now making Deadpool 2. He directed this. That is why it is so John Wick-ish, especially at the beginning. But what I really like about it is that Charlize Theron gets the shit kicked out of her in this trailer.
Yes, she does.
It's like John Wick, but with the superhero aspect turned down from 11 to like 8. So she's still kicking ass, but she's taking punishment at the same time.
Yes.
It's very well shot.
It was very well shot, and honestly, it felt like a hold on. It's too late. I'm blanking on his name. Emergency IMDb.
Emergency IMDb. In case of emergency, break IMDb.
I cannot think of his name.
Yeah,
Guy Ritchie. It was almost homage to Guy Ritchie also.
It made me kind of think of like what would happen if Kingsman and John Wick had a baby. That's kind of like a little bit of the vibe I got off it, which when you combine those two things is kind of like a Guy Ritchie movie, so I think we're both kind of right.
I was you know what I'm talking about with the selection of music and everything that's happening.
It's hyper stylized.
Stylized. It almost felt like Guy Ritchie signed off on that trailer.
Now, if Charlize Theron and the director of fucking Deadpool 2 and John Wick didn't catch your attention, James McAvoy, John Goodman, Toby Jones, and Sophia Boutella, who is the girl from Kingsman, coincidentally, the girl with the blade legs,
right,
and the mummy. So that is a killer fucking cast.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, dude, James McAvoy, I can already tell. It's probably gonna end up being my favorite character of the whole thing, just because of the "let me get your baggage" and then he opens the door.
Oh my god, that's fucking gold. That's fucking gold. Or like, he's like, I think I fucking love you.
Yes.
Now here's the thing: you may think that you appreciate and love James McAvoy until you watch Split. You have no idea how talented that motherfucker is.
I'm sure, and I believe you about everything you say about that movie, but I'm not sure it's one I can watch.
What makes you say that?
The whole multiple personality schizophrenia thing is kind of like how you have the weird thing with like things with cults you don't really get into or watch. That's my thing for some reason.
Here's the thing, though. I am going to make you watch it because you have to see it. I'm going to bring it with me because I am going to be buying it because you have to. This is one of those times where you have to trust me in that you have to see it, and then you will thank me for it later. But you have to kind of like take a leap of faith with me.
I have no doubt that it's good.
No, you have to trust me on this. Because I can't talk about it without spoiling stuff for you, but you will appreciate that you watched it later because you will understand what I'm talking about once we watch it, which it comes out next month. And I will be bringing it over for one of our movie days. And you will be watching it because you just have to fucking trust me. And you will understand what I'm talking about when we get to watch it.
Plot twist, he doesn't have schizophrenia at all.
You'll have to watch it. The next trailer we're going to talk about... by the way, the action not just the first scene, but the action throughout is like over the top a little bit, like where she like repels with using the guy is really cool.
Yeah.
The action in Atomic Blonde. Looks like a lot of fun. That comes out July 28th, and that is a movie that I will be seeing in the theater because the action looks to be so badass in it.
I'm gonna try.
The next one is Baby Driver. This is one that I had heard about, but the trailer just came out over the last couple of weeks for it. This is Edgar Wright's next movie, which is his kind of first foray into kind of like a car chase type of movie.
It's Edgar Wright's version of Transporter.
Essentially, another movie that has a fantastic. First of all, it's written and directed by Edgar Wright. You know it's going to be good because the guy's never made a bad movie in his life. For those unaware, Edgar Wright is the guy responsible for the Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End trilogy, as well as like stuff like Scott Pilgrim. So he's one of my
Ant-Man, right?
Oh yeah, he is behind most of the early scripts for Ant-Man and was originally going to direct it, but had to back out because he ended up having, I think, issues with Marvel.
Yeah.
But this comes out August 11th. Another great cast. It has John Hamm. It's got our boy John Bernthal in it. It's got Jamie Foxx is in it. Someone else like Kevin fucking Spacey looks to be the bad guy,
yes.
and I'm there. You could have just told me Kevin Spacey's the bad guy. I'm there.
Yes.
So yeah, how awesome was this trailer?
This trailer is pretty fucking awesome.
Like, cannot wait. Comes out August 11th. I hope that people will finally turn out for one of his movies, because unfortunately most of Edgar Wright's movies, because they're so specifically niche, they don't end up making a ton of money outside of Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead was the one that hit so big that it couldn't help but make a shit ton of money.
The timing of that movie was kind of perfect, though. You had a lot of like zombie movie remakes and zombie movies, and Walking Dead. Was Walking Dead just starting around that time? Maybe even. I don't remember.
I think it predated it a bit, but
you think it did?
It was kind of during, like, Walking Dead like cemented the zombie craze, but the zombie craze was like still kind of becoming a thing, and Shaun of the Dead was recently really just a parody of horror movies in general, almost the way the format of it is.
But yeah, it was perfectly timed. Shaun of the Dead was, but this trailer, I'm probably gonna watch it as soon as we finish this podcast. I'm probably gonna watch it again.
So it's so good, and it just makes me think of how much I like Edgar Wright, that after watching it, I wanted to just marathon the 3 Shaun of the Dead, the 3 Nick Frost and Simon Pegg movies and Scott Pilgrim, because I fucking love all those movies so much. Let's see. That is a wrap for the movie news. Ron, would you like to take us through the TV news so I can give my voice a break, because we have just done Game of Thrones and this, and I'm kind of tired.
So, looks like Legion got renewed for a second season, which I guess it's early enough in the year. They're coming out with season 2 next year.
Yep. Looks to be that way.
Usually when you hear about that, you skip a year. But
this is actually pretty exciting for me. I've been really, really loving the show. I hope they keep the short format with it, because right now it's 8 episodes. I hope at the max they move it up to 10. I don't want any more.
Yeah.
I either want 8 or 10.
A show like that would probably only work best the fewer the episodes you have, which sounds counterintuitive because it's so good, but yeah, that's what makes it good, having the short run. That image that you put with it in our notes, by the way, is like one of my favorite images on the internet, period.
Yeah, if anyone has seen it, they would know what we're talking about. It's the one where Dan Stevens, as the main character, is looking super fucking confused, which is a appropriate representation of everyone who has ever watched Legion. That's what makes it kind of so perfect. I think it's a good thing. It has been renewed for 2018. Because, and especially that it doesn't have a date yet, because that means you're going to let Noah Hawley, the showrunner, take his time and make it good, because since it is just going to be like 8 or 10 episodes more than likely, they could have turned around and cranked it out pretty quick, because Legion looks like has been done for a while. They were just waiting to release it, because if you remember, we were seeing full scenes from that first episode at last year's Comic-Con.
Yes.
So it's been done. They probably could have cranked it out, given how successful it's been. They probably could have turned it out fairly quickly, but they're waiting. Let it be good. let it be made organically instead of rushed, which is what makes me a little scared of Stranger Things season 2,
Oh yeah.
because Stranger Things, from the onset to how quickly we were already seeing stuff for season 2 as far as that Super Bowl ad, gives me a little bit of pause, because I'm hoping
To
it's
be
not
fair
one
though,
of,
the Super Bowl ad wasn't a lot of anything.
but the thing is, they
But it
already had
exists.
they churned out their script so fast. They already had a few months ago the titles of each episode
Mhm.
released. So that's pretty quickly for my taste, especially considering we have no idea how long they were in development on the first season. We don't know how long it took them. Like, what I don't want to have happen is what happened with The Flash, is that they had a shit ton of time to make the first season, and the first season's fantastic. It's such a huge success. So we need to turn around and make this as quickly as possible for the second go round. And what ended up happening is the same fucking thing over again.
Quick, change character names.
Yeah, copy paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's my thoughts on it. But I love Legion. I'm super excited for season 2. I'm actually really curious about Legion going forward, because Noah Hawley is known for Fargo, which is an anthology show where every season is its own thing, like American Horror Story. I wouldn't be surprised if Legion ended up being like that, because the X-Men universe is so broad.
I was gonna say the X-Men universe is probably the one place you can get away with that.
Because he's shown that he likes that format. The current characters being used in Legion are incredibly obscure. It's not a type of thing like it's almost more akin to like a Legends of Tomorrow, where the cast can rotate type of thing. They're not stuck with Barry Allen,
Yes.
Anything can happen in Legion, or any characters can happen. So I'm curious to see what they do with it.
The thing that's crazy to me is the next article we have to talk about.
It's kind of awesome.
It's
I
kind
kinda
of
love it.
awesome, but holy shit balls. Well, I guess I should have said I. I'll fix that in post. So Twitch. That's the one that blew me away. Video gaming site Twitch. I have that right.
/ social eating, apparently.
/ social eating, courtesy of Epic Name Bro. 23 seasons, a cumulative 831 episodes. Holy shit balls. Of the Power Rangers.
Of every Power Rangers thing ever.
Every Power Rangers will be airing on Twitch.
So it starts. It started on the 14th. So it started a couple days ago at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and it is a tie-in with the movie coming out, obviously.
Yes.
So it's still going to be ongoing or wrapping up in like 2 weeks, or like like within the next week or so. That's a shit ton of Power Rangers to be going nonstop. Like,
now, since that's on Twitch, is that not just like a format like Netflix, or is it like a few episodes a day?
I
What's
think
the
it is.
format?
It is. I believe it is just nonstop marathon all day live stream. Probably no VODs, because there's so much of it, and they still want to sell Power Rangers DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine it would just be, how like AMC will sometimes do like a Walking Dead marathon where it's just nonstop throughout the night and shit like
Around
that.
Thanksgiving, Discovery and Science Channel did the same thing with Mythbusters. They start from episode 1 and go through all the seasons.
So I believe it was just like a nonstop marathon, but I could be wrong. But if you are curious about checking it out, if you just Google Twitch Presents Power Rangers, you'll probably be able to find the link to it and the details behind the airtimes if you are curious.
I don't even know what to say. Because I had heard before that that was happening, but I had never heard that it was Twitch.
Yeah, I was super impressed by that. That's a really fun thing to do.
That's a really fun thing to do. That's kind of impressive. I mean, I know Twitch is Amazon backed, but that's kind of an impressive property for them to get their hands on. And
it's a ton of rights to get a hold of too, because God knows how mixed up all the rights are, considering how many iterations there have been.
Well, if they're all Haim Saban, though, maybe not. If it's all the same company. But I mean, for them to get that in conjunction with what's supposed to be a major movie, and it's a major property title that everybody knows. It seems like an impressive feat for me that Twitch got it.
Yeah, and I believe the Twitch Presents thing is like a pretty new iteration for them, so
yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
So from that, back to the shitstorm.
Can we
Because
just
yes,
can we just like call it a day? I'm just gonna go to bed, like just like
this
lower
right
my.
here, this right here could have just been its own podcast. Because No
Okay.
Man's fucking Sky.
Okay, this is basically working as our gaming news section and our discussion point for the week because Ron and I had so many opinions go back and forth over text messages about this that we just kind of decided to just make it our discussion point. Here's the thing. No Man's Sky, the much beloved No Man's Sky, which you and I and like
Big fat lie.
two other people on the planet, it seemed like were correct in wondering what the fuck everyone got excited about. That's almost like the world's fault for getting excited over nothing that was being shown to them because
Quite literally nothing.
They released what is called the Pathfinder update this week. Now, what was included with this update?
And that's solely because No Man's Sky is currently trying to find their path to getting back on track.
You know what's also fucked up? The Pathfinder is one of the names of one of the Mass Effect Andromeda things too. So they're piggybacking off of like a Mass Effect thing. Shit you not.
So it's even worse. It's even worse than we feared.
Here's the thing. Really quickly, I'm going to go into the details of like some of the stuff that was included within this update, and then it's going to launch our discussion over what this kind of represents for gaming as a whole over the last couple of years. And not just this company that's doing this, it's a few different companies, a few notable ones. Okay. Graphics update includes PS4 Pro support and photo mode. Totally cool with that being an update after the fact. You know, obviously they didn't have PS4 Pro around that time yet. That totally makes sense. A photo mode, that's totally cool. That's a minor update. Specialization and changes to ships. That's fine. You know, they can fine tune their ships. It's an important part of the game.
It's the only part of the game.
New traders. They have opened up new traders at space stations for basically item dealers, and they have a new currency. That's totally fine. That's a minor update. That's a tweak.
That's your game. Do what you want.
Totally fine. A new base building content. That is totally acceptable. That was like that was a big thing with like Fallout 4. That was one of the main DLC things. Metal Gear Solid. The what was the name of the
Pain?
5?
Yeah.
Yeah, was it Phantom Pain? Yeah,
I think so.
Base building was a big thing with that. Okay, now I reorganized this bulleted list from what is acceptable and what is not fucking acceptable.
Bulleted list, more like bullshit list.
Just brace yourself. There's gonna be some expletives because this shit gets dumb. Ron, new difficulty options? Really? The game didn't launch with fucking difficulty options? A brand new permadeath mode has been added, which adds a 1 life limit. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Sometimes games don't launch with that. That probably should have been launched with it, but whatever. Survival mode itself has been made tougher, as damaged ships will now crash land on planets. It's a space game, and you couldn't crash land on planets.
Your whole shtick was it's a space game, you're in a spaceship. Eventually, you can find someone to shoot at you if you played long enough, I guess. And you couldn't crash land on a planet. That was like half the game.
It gets worse from there. This is the one that is fucking mind-boggling to me. The whole point of the game is going to all of their infinite number of fucking planets with nothing to do and explore for nothing, right?
Yes.
They didn't have ground vehicles?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, the whole point of the fucking game was going down to the planets to find shit, and you're gonna tell me when the whole point of the game is how fucking expansive it is, you couldn't fucking drive a car? What?
I didn't even know that was a problem. Like,
And here's the adorable thing. With their patch notes. Yes, No Man's Sky now has buggies or ground vehicles. As if it's like this like magical thing. Like, aren't you guys excited? You can actually fucking roam around correctly in our roaming game. You have 3 different ground vehicles, blah blah blah. Like one of them is mainly for base building. It looks like one of them is for zipping across the landscape and carrying huge amounts of resources. Looks a lot less frustrating now. That's in the fucking patch notes.
That's their own
That's
shit.
in the fucking patch notes.
What the actual fuck? So I found out a while back because I've refused to play the game that it's resource based a lot similarly to like Lost Planet, where your heat is constantly ticking down in the game and you're constantly getting that. You have like oxygen and shit like that to balance. And you have to traverse the planet and you had no vehicle to do it in and you really couldn't carry jack shit.
Yeah.
And
like
now that they've added that retroactively, they're acting like they're the hero. Are you
awesome,
fucking kidding me?
Now, here's the one that I saved for last because I think this is the biggest colossal load of horseshit because of Blandy McWhiterson himself, Sean Murray, which I will take no credit for that name. That is courtesy of Geoff from RageSelect.com. I love that name so much. That is what I've taken to referring to him as. But if you saw any promotional material for No Man's Sky, you know who I'm talking about because it was the guy they kept bringing out on stage and bringing out for fucking IGN YouTube videos and bringing out for everything, who, like you and I, couldn't find anything to show to do in the motherfucking video game they were trying to sell, and somehow the whole fucking world was like, oh, I can't wait to do fucking nothing.
I
Like,
don't get it.
It is like literally like the Avatar of video games. People as a collective lost their goddamn monkey minds over the ultimate like style over substance. Like there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
It was a universal
that game was just empty.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Sean Murray kept confirming multiple times, and they even showed like ship-to-ship multiplayer combat in their videos. No Man's Sky will finally have multiplayer. You couldn't before find or visit other players' bases. You couldn't leave messages for your visitors until now. The game has been out for 9 months, I believe we figured out. It was like 8 or 9 months, roughly
Something
in that
like
time frame. And
it
it
was
took
like 9 years.
It took them that long to integrate multiplayer. When what was like one of their biggest selling points, Ron? It was, hey, look, you were the first person to categorize this motherfucking fish.
Yes.
If no one can go to each other's games, who fucking
Everybody's
cares?
the first person. I don't understand this game, Geoff.
Now that we've listed out like the things, this is where we're gonna get into like the nitty gritty of this conversation. Now, this was not a priced expansion. This was given out for free. I appreciate them not just running away with the money, which they could have done. I appreciate them continue working on the game, but here is the problem. All of these modes that they're pimping out as like special features should have been in there from day one.
Yes.
Especially given the fact this game was delayed. It wasn't like they rushed to meet their initial promise date. They delayed it and still launched it without half the fucking features they said. No Man's Sky being as hated as it is nobody's fault but No Man's Sky and Sean Murray, because he made it out like it was the game to end all freaking video games.
More or less.
And he kept talking about, oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can totally do that, and you couldn't do any of what he said.
Any of it until 9 months later.
That is unacceptable. And the problem within No Man's Sky, and we're specifically talking about Hello Games and No Man's Sky in this situation, but a lot of people are doing this. The gaming industry has gotten to the point to where every fucking video game you buy has this colossal day one update. They are
Yes.
shipping your game out incomplete. They are relying, oh, we'll get it patched and it'll be fine. That is unacceptable, especially for a fucking project when most of the time we are paying $60 for access.
Yes.
Unfucking acceptable.
Some of these games have been in development for years, and they come out unfinished. Yes.
Case in fucking point. Final Fantasy 15 has story content reserved for after the fact DLCs that you have to pay for. Yeah.
Unacceptable.
They can go fuck themselves. And the most egregious example of this that got me so pissed off when it happened is the Destiny Taken King expansion. Because what Destiny did is all of the shit that they said was supposed to be working with the game that wasn't. Now, Destiny was a much better game at its launch than No Man's Sky was. But what was promised at E3 and at during all their trailers and everything is the Taken King version, like the fully souped up with all the features. For them to charge, I don't know if it was a full 60, but for them to charge a dime to give what they promised players at the onset and make people double down and have to pay you at least another $40, you can go right to hell, Bungie, and you can suck my balls. That is unacceptable.
Yeah. No, I do not like this trend. This is one that needs to stop, but you got to vote with your dollars, and unfortunately that's never going to happen. It just, to think that you can pay $60 for a game and there's not jack shit in it that you were promised.
You know what like the equivalent would be in, and it's a shame that it has become like a standardized norm, but you know what it makes me think of as an example? It would be like you going out to watch the Avengers and you pay full ticket price to watch the version of the movie that doesn't have the special effects included, that is an unfinished property, like an unfinished project basically.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, what we're going to do is if you want to watch the movie, you can go watch it opening weekend. It's going to be without special effects. Once we release the Blu-ray, you can pay $30 or $25 and you can get the full fucking version. That is the equivalent of what has become an acceptable fucking thing to do in the gaming industry. And the gaming industry has so many fucking problems that if this continues within 10 years, I just might not be playing games. I think it's unacceptable. I think the extent to which gaming developers are shitty to their own people, like Konami, we reported on so many fucking times. They are awful to their own people a lot of the time. Now, this is not a blank slate for everyone. CD Projekt Red does a wonderful job with everything.
Very wonderful job. Your games are too big, but very wonderful job.
The Witcher 3 was already way too fucking big, and what did they do? They sent out like $10 DLCs that were the size of like 30-hour RPGs. Yes. Good on you, CD Projekt Red. I think Rockstar for the most part does a good job with their DLC. I think up until Dark Souls 3, I think FromSoft actually did a damn good job with their DLC. Now this last Dark Souls 3 DLC might change opinions because usually they weren't broken up, but like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1 and even Dark Souls 2 apparently a lot of people say like the best part of Dark Souls 2 was all of its DLC. So like there are companies who are out there making good DLC and aren't fucking people over with their expansions, but the fact that Destiny came out and made a lot of money with that redo, basically Destiny 2.0, and if that becomes a trend at all, like we were already like kind of annoyed at this No Man's Sky thing, but if this had cost even $10 to $20, our tone would have changed.
Oh yeah, because
it's setting like the gaming industry. It's like every time I pull open if I pull up like Polygon or The Verge, it's like awful precedent after awful precedent after awful precedent of what is going on.
Yeah, it and the whole industry, they just don't give a shit, like you said, about the consumer, and they really don't need to. That's the sad aspect of it. The thing that gets me is that companies like Bungie and who made No Man's Sky? I don't even fucking know. I know
Hello Games is the name of the
Hello
company
Games.
behind it.
The fact that those companies even still exist because of the shit that they do kind of boggles my mind.
Now, in Hello Games' defense, at least they're like a little studio.
Yeah.
For them to kind of get ahead of themselves, promising, over promising and under delivering, you can kind of to an extent kind of feel bad for them. And at least they tried to make it right. Bungie is the fucking company behind Halo, and they have made all of the money off of Halo because we're not even talking about, even if Halo was just the games, they would have been set for life. But you want to talk about the movies, the TV shows, the books, the t-shirts, the action figures, the standees, like the busts, like
People are crazy about their Halo.
People are fucking nuts about Halo, and they will buy all the Halo shit. For them to have to do a 2.0 of a game just to get it what they said was going to be is the most egregious version.
You know what's even worse than that? You remember all the shit that came out about Destiny when it first released, that it was basically Halo copy and pasted? You remember that? All the side-by-side screens and all that, and it was still shit. It was copy-paste, and it was still horseshit.
I actually played Destiny when it came out, the original version, because I sure shit ain't paying them fucking money for their goddamn redo. But the storyline of Destiny was so stupidly boring. I gave up on it like an hour and a half in, and I never do that.
Yeah.
I usually will at least give a game like 8 to 10 hours just because, some games are slow rolling about actually getting you invested in it, but like it was just so awful. Or like the really bad one that I mentioned earlier, like Final Fantasy 15. I have heard from people that because of the way Final Fantasy 15 had like that tie-in movie, remember the one with Sean Bean and with
Yes.
with Aaron, yeah, and with the way that they have been talking about how crucial story content was going to be released in future DLCs. I've heard from multiple people that Final Fantasy 15 has no plot through line because, well, if you want to play if you want to get the full experience, you don't have to just pay $60 for this fucking AAA video game. You need to go pay $20 to watch the movie. You need to pay $20 for the season pass to get all the DLC. DLC shouldn't be a band-aid to fix your fucking game. It should be building upon while still being optional.
I had a sick feeling in my gut when they said they were going to release Final Fantasy VII Remake episodically, that it was going to be like one game that you paid $180 at worst for, probably 20 to 40 for each additional part after part one. And nothing reaffirms that more than Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, you want to talk about what people are going to do? They could release 6 copies of Final Fantasy VII, like break it up into 6 games. They could make each of them like $100 a piece, and people love that game so much and love that series so much, it don't matter how much you make it or how much you fuck people over, they will eat all of it up.
Yep.
It is such a license to print money for them. They could not give less of a shit. They don't care if we go and complain about it on our vodcast. They don't care if people go on Twitter and bitch about it. You already paid the money. You and I always say, vote with your dollar for the love of God, because the gaming industry is slowly going to shit.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think people are spending enough time really focusing. They're like, they're too quick to bitch about certain things, and they're too quick to overlook shit that I think is actually important.
Yeah.
Like this. Like, there were so many people that were so excited to buy that second version of Destiny and are so excited to go back in and like I forget but like just this week, like there were people talking about how like these No Man's Sky updates, maybe people are gonna be rushing back to play it. Maybe it'll be the thing that fixes everything. And here's the thing: what else are people playing right now, Ron? They are playing fucking Zelda. They are playing a new Nintendo console. They are
Yeah.
playing Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Dark Souls 3 DLC comes out later this month.
3. Yeah.
A fucking Mass Effect sequel comes out. It don't matter.
No one cares.
It don't matter. It's done.
You had your shot 9 months ago.
Gamers are fickle little bitches. And that is why this is so crucial, because I appreciate them trying to make it right. They didn't have to. I appreciate the effort, but you have to make sure your product that you are, if it has to be something that you're actually properly selling.
It should at least be what you say it is.
Yes.
At the very least. If you're going to demo shit, that shit better be in the game. Especially if your entire game fucking depends on the shit you're demoing.
No Man's Sky will forever be an enigma to you and I, because we've been preaching from the get-go why, and it still happened.
The honest trailer is one of my favorite honest trailers.
The honest trailer is so good it makes the game worth happening. Like
big
story, starring buyer's remorse.
Rocks.
Yeah, but did you have anything else you wanted to add along with it?
I mean, not really, not without talking in circles a little bit.
I feel like we've kind of hit.
I think we've hit what we wanted to say. I just the fact that here's the thing. Here's the thing that really gets me. We are making these complaints, and we did not give them our money. There's a lot of people that complain about this shit and talk about this shit as a whole, and all of these games are sitting on their fucking shelf because they either A, wanted to see how bad it is, or B, were conned into it, like any of the Bungie games, apparently, like any of the Destiny games. I don't get the people that play shit like No Man's Sky, ironically, and stuff like that. They don't care. They got your $60. That's why if you think it's shit, or you check out Let's Plays of it and you think it's shit.
That's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point too. We don't live in a world like we used to, where what you had to go on, whether you rented this game or this game, Game X or Game Y, was literally the box art of the fucking on the back of the game at Blockbuster,
Yeah.
You have, like you just pointed out, Let's Plays that you can fucking throw a rock and hit a Let's Play video online of a big game.
Yes.
Or you can watch you don't even have to wait for uploaded YouTube content. People have it on Twitch immediately, if not before official release. So you will know for damn sure. I think we need to mark this as a topic too for a podcast discussion. Pre-ordering video games. I hate
pre-ordering.
So we need to make that a note. Write that down. Because that's another, just really quickly, as kind of basically like a tease for when we talk about this. That is another unacceptable precedent. In no other fucking format is it acceptable to pay full fucking price for something a year before it's even a completed thing. I don't go out right now and purchase my fucking ticket to Thor 3 when Thor 3 is still motherfucking filming.
Not only that,
are more expensive.
Not only that, sometimes the little pre-order bonuses is shit that is in the game for everyone, but you can only access it because the pre-ordering.
We're going to say pre-ordering. That's a very, very good topic we're going to talk about, because I could do an entire series of podcasts about how much I hate pre-ordering and I think it's stupid. But yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. If you would like to check us out more, please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our stuff. We also do Game of Thrones show. We do Let's Plays, a little bit of everything. Social media links are below for Facebook and Twitter in the description. Please share us out. We really, really greatly appreciate it. It helps us get more fans and viewership. I am Geoff.
I'm Ron.
Let's go to bed. I can't deal with today. I'm so happy today is over because this week has just been the worst. And yeah, it was signed off by fuck you Warner Brothers.
Yep. Bye.
And fuck you, Bungie.